Let's now talk about how you can calculate the value of delta G for a reaction by using the delta G's of formation. This is going to be fairly similar to what you saw earlier in the thermochemistry portion of this class when you were calculating delta H standard from the delta H of formation standard. In this example, we have a reaction 2SO2 plus O2 goes to 2SO3. And if we wanted to calculate the delta G standard from the delta G's of formation, we would use this equation, which says delta G standard for a reaction is equal to the sum of the delta G standards of formation for all of the products times their stoichiometric coefficients minus the sum of the standard delta G's of formation for all of the reactants times their stoichiometric coefficients. This equation is pretty much identical to what you saw involving delta H of standard and delta H of formation, right? The only difference is that we're dealing with delta G here. So the standard delta G's of formation can be found in Zumdahl in Appendix 4. And so you could look up these standard delta G's of formation if you have to work practice problems in the book. I'm just going to pull the values and put them here in the slide for the SO2, the O2, and the SO3. And given these values, we can calculate the delta G for this reaction at standard conditions. So the delta G standard for this reaction is, for our products, we have 2SO3. And remember that 2 represents 2 moles of SO3 at negative 371 kilojoules per mole, and minus all of the reactants. So for the reactants, we have 2 moles of SO2, and that's minus 300 kilojoules per mole. And we have oxygen, 1 mole of that, but its delta G of formation at standard conditions is 0. So when you go to calculate the standard delta G for this reaction, all the moles cancel out and you're left with only kilojoules. And the value that you get when you plug in the numbers is negative 142 kilojoules. So you can say that at standard conditions, this reaction is spontaneous. Now, when we're talking about delta G, right, that is a value that is temperature dependent. And so it's important to also make the note here that when we're dealing with the standard delta G's and the standard delta G's of formation, that is going to be at a standard temperature of 25 degrees C. And so what you could say is that at 25 degrees C and at standard conditions, this reaction would be spontaneous. All right, next up, what we're going to do is talk a little bit more about entropy changes for chemical reactions and standard entropies.